common errors and some solutions for those errors when we're talking about kick jamming. All right, so first off, one of the important things, if I'm going from ready stance to a closing stance on my jam, what I want to avoid is that if Scott starts circling to set up distance, I want to avoid stepping back. Remember, in the ready stance, my weight should be loaded forward. I should be ready to close right from the beginning. All right, and one thing that'll help me is if I'm not ready to close on him because he adjusts the distance back and away, I'm going to split my feet so that I'm ready to go. And that way, if he only takes one step and then kicks, I'm at the right distance. Let me show you the wrong way first and why it's a problem. Okay, so if Scott just takes one step and then kicks, and I go back, you can see that I'll at best be in that power stroke. That's not a jam, my energy's going back, everything's working against me. If instead we're in ready stance and I split the difference and he does it, then right here, I'm right in position to jam him and continue to move inside. So what that looks like is just sitting down in that stance in a closing stance. From this angle, boom. I'm just splitting the difference with my feet, dropping, getting that foot up, ready to go. That way if I have to close, I can just close. All right? Number two, that's really important, is I'm not going to chase somebody. If somebody's got a lot of movement and they're trying to get a lot of distance right away, I'm not going to run them all over the room trying to find them. Okay? So if Scott makes a big adjustment, so come a little bit closer please, Scotty. So we start here and now he just starts to adjust. I'm just going to track. Just here, just tracking, tracking. When he gets to range, boom, that's when I'm closing. Whether he's kicked or not, as soon as he makes that distance tripwire distance come alive, I'm closing on him, right? And that's measured by going inside of attack range. Right as soon as he starts to do any kind of motion or movement inside of attack range, or to make that distance cover, I'm closing, all right? So that becomes important, so that I'm reading motion, not responding to his kick. Next one is that if I'm doing a roundhouse defense against a roundhouse kick, what I want to make sure I do is cover the angle with a strong jump style that matches that angle. My other hand is going to punch. So if I'm coming out here and I read that it's a roundhouse, this one's going to continue to travel toward the head, and this one's going to cover the angle. I also might cross cover a little bit with the leg, but not too far. This will help me control the angle and the height of the kick. So as he goes to do his roundhouse, boom, I can drive right through him. There's no way that he can defend well. The mistake is if both hands go there. What that looks like is this, leaving me exposed for counter punches and a number of other problems. So I want to avoid that. It's too committed to just that one side. Splitting is going to be your best bet. Okay? Next one that's really common is that I hold the jam too long. So if Scott goes here and he throws a front kick, so let's go ahead and throw a front kick, and I hold it here, space will open up between us. I want to make sure I have an effective shield, but then accelerate my footwork to close the distance. What that'll include is jamming and then stepping back to replace the other foot as I step through and jam hard with the other side. What this looks like is the following. We'll do that one more time. Last concept that's really important that I want everybody to understand on this is that for an effective jam, I need to have hips forward so that I've got a proper weight distribution and load to maximize my lunge. I need enough bend in the knee to be able to do this as well, but really a good hip position is critical. If my hips are rounded back, my energy is going to go down, right? And I'm not going to be able to close as much distance. Hips forward, good hip tilt, right? Not too forward. This is too much. Just a little bit of that posterior pelvic tilt makes all the difference. This is also critical in the closing stance. If I don't have enough hip tilt, if I'm here, for example, my head's starting to get over my knee, I'm going to drive down, I won't be able to get my knee up. Having the right hip tilt allows them to just come forward. And it will avoid one of the biggest mistakes, which is when we're here, people often have to take an extra step before they jam. We want to avoid that because you don't have time to take that extra step. You want to get to this point where you've got good hip rotation here, and you can just frame and close as soon as you read the motion. Good luck. What we've got here is Scott and Zavir that are going to be demonstrating kick jamming as an exercise. Scott is going to be the jammer. Ready? Anytime. Excellent. They'll reset. They'll go back to the ready stance. Anytime. Good. Next is going to be out of closing stance. Closing stance. So one of the key features to make sure is that the distance remains consistent for attack range. It's very common that students will get too far away. All right, ready? Anytime. Good. This is the static way to do it. Having students making sure their distance is correct is important. Ready? Anytime. The next level is with out of closing stance, but a little bit of setup and movement. So Zavir will now try to set Scott up. Scott will try to control the distance and jam as soon as he reads motion from Zavir's tee. Ready? Anytime. Good. Again. Anytime. Good. Let's do that one more time. Anytime. Good. All right. Now the final version of this is going to be starting in a ready stance at attack range. So let's go ahead and measure that attack range from ready stance, please. And Zavir can kick either out of ready or out of closing. He's going to kick out of ready or out of closing. So let's just start in ready stance, gentlemen, both sides. You guys are a little bit close now. Yep, measure that out. Good. He can kick out of ready or out of closing. Ready? Anytime. Good. Reset to ready stance. Anytime. Good. Last example. Anytime. Good. So Scott essentially needs to be prepared to either jam right out of the ready stance, or as Zavir tries to control and set up distance to improve his kicking ability, Scott will then track and stay right with him so that he can jam effectively. Well done.